11th canto. I've never read the 11th canto, and then I want to read the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada got up to the 10th canto somewhere around Lord Brahma stealing the cows, the calves and the boys, somewhere around there. And then he left, he disappeared. So the rest of the 10th canto and the 11th and the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam were translated in the same way that Prabhupada did the other 9 cantos, with word-for-word transliteration, purports, original Sanskrit, by Hridayananda Maharaj, one of Prabhupada's advanced disciples. Very intelligent man. He's got a PhD in something or other, I don't know. Philosophy of religion or something. He's a very personable, likable, done so much service for Prabhupada over the years. And this was, he wanted to complete it for Prabhupada. So I've never read it, the 11th and 12th cantos. I'm looking here on something called Bhaktivedanta Database, and all they have are there's a little introduction, and then they just have the English translations. No Sanskrit, no word for word, no purports, just the verses as they've been translated. So I was going to just read that. So to know what's in the, I don't even know what's in the 11th and 12th cantos. So at least we'll know what's in there. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let me rearrange the screen because I have to read it online. Here we go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It doesn't want to cooperate here. Hare Krishna. Technology. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Let me see what's going on. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Oops. Krishna. Oh boy. All right. Come on over here. Okay, this might work. Yeah. Okay. So this is the 11th canto, chapter 1. And the title is The Curse Upon the Yadu Dynasty. This chapter gives a hint of the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, which took place owing to the appearance of an iron club. Hearing this narration is a great impetus for becoming detached from the material world. Lord Sri Krishna expertly arranged the great Kurukshetra battle between the Kurus and the Pandavas, and thus removed to a great extent the earth's burden. The Supreme Lord, whose influence is inconceivable, was not yet satisfied because of the continued presence of the undefeatable Yadu family. The Lord desired to bring about the destruction of the Yadu dynasty so that he could completely wind up his pastimes on the earth and go back to his own abode. Using the pretense of a curse by an assembly of Brahmanas, he withdrew his entire dynasty from the surface of the earth. By Sri Krishna's desire, many great sages headed by Narada and Vishwamitra assembled at the holy place known as Pindarika, near the city of Dwarka. The young boys of the Yadu family, absorbed in a playful mood, also arrived there. These boys dressed Samba, one of Lord Krishna's sons. These boys dressed Samba in the guise of a pregnant woman about to give birth, and inquired from the sages about the fruitfulness of Samba's so-called pregnancy. The sages cursed the mocking boys by saying, "She will give birth to a club that will destroy your family." The Yadus, frightened by the curse, immediately lifted the garment from Samba's abdomen and found a club. Hurrying to the assembly of Ugrasen, the king of the Yadus, they offered a report of everything that had taken place. Fearing the Brahmin's curse, Yaduraj Ugrasen ordered the club ground to powder and thrown into the ocean. Within the ocean, a fish swallowed the last remaining lump of iron, and the waves carried all the bits of ground powder to the shore, where they were implanted and eventually grew into a grove of canes. Fishermen caught the fish, and a hunter named Jara used the iron lump found in its belly to fashion an arrow. Although the Super Soul, Lord Sri Krishna, understood what was happening, he did not wish to do anything to counteract it. Rather, in the form of time, he sanctioned these events. Text 1. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Lord Sri Krishna, accompanied by Balaram and surrounded by the Yadu dynasty, executed the killing of many demons. Then, further to remove the burden of the earth, the Lord arranged for a great battle of Kurukshetra, which suddenly erupted in violence between the Kurus and the Pandavas. So Maharaj Parikshit is fasting until death. He has 7 days, and then he will be, he has 7 days to live. And Sukadeva Goswami and other sages are assembled to, because Maharaj Parikshit asked, he said, what is the duty of a person who's about to die? And the answer is to hear about Krishna. So he knew he had 7 days, but no one of us, anyway, really knows how long we have to live. It could be within the next few minutes. We don't know. Or it could be 25, 50, however many years, long life. So Sukadeva Goswami is instructing Maharaj Parikshit in the activities and the pastimes and the form and the everything, how his energies about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Suta Goswami was there in the assembly hearing. And in ancient times, people could hear just once They didn't have cell phones, tape recorders, video cameras. They didn't even write stuff down. Their minds and their intellect were so keen, they could just hear once and they got it. So Sutta Goswami was in the assembly, and then he later spoke to the sages at Naimisharanya. And now we're hearing the same conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, as Sutta Goswami instructed the sages of Naimisharanya, and now we're hearing 5,000 years later the same conversation. So Sukadeva Goswami said, Lord Sri Krishna, accompanied by Balaram and surrounded by the Yadu dynasty, executed the killing of many demons. Then, further, to remove the burden of the earth, the Lord arranged for the great battle of Kurukshetra, which suddenly erupted in violence between the Kurus and the Pandavas. Text 2. Because the sons of Pandu were enraged by the numerous offenses of their enemies, such as duplicitous gambling, verbal insults, the seizing of Draupadi's hair, and many other cruel transgressions, the Supreme Lord engaged those Pandavas as the immediate cause to execute his will. On the pretext of the battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna arranged for all the kings who were burdening the earth to assemble with their armies on opposite sides of the battlefield. And when the Lord killed them through the agency of war, the earth was relieved of its burden. Text 3. The Supreme Personality of Godhead used the Yadu dynasty, which was protected by his own arms, to eliminate the kings who with their armies had been the burden of this earth. Then the unfathomable Lord thought to himself, quote, although some may say that the earth's burden is now gone, in my opinion it is not yet gone, because there still remains the Yadava dynasty itself, whose strength is unbearable for the earth. Text 4. Lord Krishna thought, quote, no outside force could ever bring about the defeat of this family, the Yadu dynasty, whose members have always been fully surrendered to me and are unrestricted in their opulence. But if I inspire a quarrel within the dynasty, that quarrel will act just like a fire created from the friction of bamboo in a grove. And then I shall achieve my real purpose and return to my eternal abode. Text 5. My dear King Parikshit, now this is Sukadeva Goswami, my dear King Parikshit, when the Supreme Almighty Lord, whose desire always comes to pass, had thus made up his mind, he withdrew his own family on the pretext of a curse spoken by an assembly of Brahmanas. 6 and 7. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the reservoir of all beauty. All beautiful things emanate from him, and his personal form is so attractive that it steals the eyes away from all other objects, which then seem devoid of beauty in comparison to him. When Lord Krishna was on the earth, he attracted the eyes of all people. When Krishna spoke, his words attracted the minds of all who remembered them. By seeing the footsteps of Lord Krishna, people became attracted to him, and thus they wanted to offer their bodily activities to the Lord as his followers. In this way, Krishna very easily spread his glories, which are sung throughout the world by the most sublime and essential Vedic verses. Lord Krishna considered that simply by hearing and chanting those glories, conditioned souls born in the future would cross beyond the darkness of ignorance. Being satisfied with this arrangement, he left for his desired destination. Text 8. King Parikshit inquired, how could the Brahmanas curse the Vrishnis, who are always respectful to the Brahmanas, charitable, and inclined to serve senior and exalted personalities, and whose minds were always fully absorbed in the thought of Krishna? Text 9. King Parikshit continued inquiring, what was the motive for this curse? What did it consist of? O purest of the twice-born, and how could such a disagreement have arisen among the Yadus, who all shared the same goal of life? Please, tell me all these things. Text 9. King Parikshit continued inquiring, what was the motive for this curse? What did it consist of, O purest of the twice-born? And how could such a disagreement have arisen among the Yadus, who all share the same goal of life? Please tell me all these things. Yes, I read that twice. Oh well. Text 10. Sukadeva Goswami said, the Lord, who bore his body as the amalgamation of everything beautiful, dutifully executed the most auspicious activities while on the earth, although he was, in fact, without any endeavor, already satisfied in all desires. Residing in his abode, enjoying life, the Lord, whose glorification is in itself magnanimous, now wanted to annihilate his dynasty, as there still remained some small part of his duty to be carried out. Text 11:12. The sages, Vishvamitra, Asita, Kanva, Durvasa, Bhrigu, Angira, Kashyapa, Vamadev, Atri, and Vashishta, along with Narada and others, once performed fruitive rituals that award abundant pious results, bring great happiness, and take away the sins of Kali Yuga for the whole world by merely being recounted. The sages duly executed these rituals in the home of the chief of the Yadus, Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna. After Lord Krishna, who was staying in Vasudeva's house as time personified, respectfully sent the sages off at the conclusion of the ceremonies, they went to the holy place called Pindarika. 13:15. To that holy place, the young boys of the Yadu dynasty had brought Samba, the son of Jambavati, dressed in women's garb. Playfully approaching the great sages gathered there, the boys grabbed hold of the sages' feet and impudently asked them, with feigned humility, "O learned Brahmins, this black-eyed pregnant woman has something to ask you. She's too embarrassed to inquire for herself. She's just about to give birth and is very desirous of having a son. Since all of you are great sages with infallible vision, please tell us whether her child will be a boy or a girl." Text 16. Thus ridiculed by deceit, the sages became angry, O king, and told the boys, "Fools, she will bear you an iron club that will destroy your entire dynasty." 17. Upon hearing the curse of the sages, the terrified boys quickly uncovered the belly of Samba, and indeed they observed that therein was an iron club. 18. The young men of the Yadu dynasty said, "Oh, what have we done? We're so unfortunate. What will our family members say to us?" Speaking thus, and being very disturbed, they returned to their homes, taking the club with them. The Yadu boys, the luster of their faces completely faded, brought the club into the royal assembly, and in the presence of all the Yadavas, they told King Ugrasena what had happened. 20. Sukadev Goswami says, O King Parikshit, when the inhabitants of Dwarka heard of the infallible curse of the Brahmins and saw the club, they were astonished and distraught with fear. 21. After having the club ground to bits, King Ahuka, Ugrasena, of the Yadus, personally threw the pieces along with the remaining lump of iron into the water of the ocean. 22. A certain fish swallowed the iron lump, and the bits of iron carried back to the shore by the waves implanted themselves there and grew into tall, sharp canes. 23. The fish was caught in the ocean along with other fish in a fisherman's net. The iron lump in the fish's stomach was taken by the hunter Jara, who fixed it as an arrowhead at the end of his shaft. 24. Knowing fully the significance of all these events, the Supreme Lord, though capable of reversing the Brahmin's curse, did not wish to do so. Rather, in his form of time, he gladly sanctioned the events. So those are the verses from chapter 1 of the 11th canto. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,